"That is distressing," the lady said, as she worked her magic over the plants in the lily pond. Sam was standing ankle-deep in the brackish water, unsure of what to do, now that he had brought this to her attention. What could he do? There would be nothing but regret when it was all said and done, and the lady would not be the only one to regret what was to come. Sam liked Tobias. He would go so far as to call him a friend, but his irrational hatred had gone too far. "I've warned him several times, but it goes nowhere. What should I do, my lady?" The lady lifted a late-season orchid from the pool and looked into the cup as if the answer might be there. "If it were anyone else, what would you do?" "It would be exile. The rules are pretty clear on what dissenters can expect from this court." "Then exile it must be. But you know, the Barker would leave if he got wind of this. For one who is spun from the darkness of my enemy, he has a gentle soul. I do not think I have ever met a creature like him. He's full of surprises, and his magic seems only bent to help." Sam splashed through the water as he paced, not sure what to do about Tobias or the growing problem. He didn't want to cast the old goat out. It hurt to be away from the lady. They had all experienced that earlier this year. And the thought of making him live that every day hurt him deeply. "Will you speak to him? If you talk to him, he might give up this stupidity and see reason." The lady looked down into the water, seeming to contemplate for a moment. "I have spoken to him several times, and he always says the same thing. He claims his hatred is for me. He claims his indignation is on my behalf. He claims that everything he does is to protect me and the people that serve me. He goes on and on and on, and it all sounds very right and very good, but I do not believe that is the true reason for his anger. He will not tell me what it is, but I know that his indignation is a shield that he uses to hide what is truly bothering him. I could speak to him 1,000 times, but until he realizes what the true issue is, it will fall on deaf ears." "I think I know," Sam said, sounding tired. "I think he resents the Barker for his part in your rescue. He didn't appreciate being left behind, and he feels less somehow because he couldn't be there to rescue you. He loves you, you know. Not like he's in love with you, but he cares for you like a son does for his mother. He's protective. I suppose many of us are. But he's being irrational." Sam wanted to say more, but at that time a brandy-low named Clover came running towards the pool in an agitated state. "Sir Knight, you must come! Something has happened to the Barker's shed." Sam sighed deeply. "I swear, if they've wrecked it again, I'm going to tan all their hides and hang them from the gates." Clover was already shaking her head. "No, it's Tobias. He's gone into the shed, and no one seems to be able to bring him out." Earl arrived at Candace's apartment about 10 minutes after the police. They were still there, taking witness statements and talking to people. When Earl approached, Deputy Woods put a hand up and told him this was no place for him right now. "I'm just trying to find out if my girlfriend is okay. She called me and said that someone was trying to break into her apartment, and I just want to make sure that she's not hurt." Deputy Woods scratched his head. "It's rough, Earl. I don't know what to tell you. As far as I know, the Deputy Woods," came an authoritative voice from behind him, as Sergeant Guthrie came striding out of the apartment. "If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. Do not share case-sensitive information with civilians. Get out of here, Earl. This is an active crime scene, and I don't need you in here messing it up." He had his thumbs hooked in his belt, one of his stances that meant that he was not open to nonsense. But Earl was not going to be put aside that easily. I'm just trying to figure out if Candace is okay. If she's dead, then there's nothing I can do about it. But if she's hurt, then I want to go see her in the hospital. Can't you tell me anything? Information is on a need-to-know basis. And right now, you don't need to know. Besides, Deputy Woods added, we couldn't tell you if we wanted to. She ain't here. Sergeant Guthrie looked at Deputy Woods as if he might be the biggest fool he had ever seen in his entire life. Well, where is she? Earl asked, starting to get frustrated. Deputy Woods opened his mouth to say something, but Sheriff Guthrie gave him a look that shut him up. Woods, why don't you go back inside and see if you can help Deputy Parks? Sheriff Guthrie asked curtly, and put your gloves on before you touch anything. Deputy Woods threw a jackleg salute and headed inside, not even realizing he was being dismissed. Did you say she called you from inside the apartment? What exactly did she say? Sheriff Guthrie pulled a pen and a pad from somewhere and leaned against the door frame as he obscured the scene inside. She said she believed someone had broke into her apartment. Then I heard a gunshot and the line went dead. I got over here as quick as I could, but apparently not as quick as you fellers. Sheriff Guthrie made a note of that, jotting it down quickly before turning back to the apartment. Earl, I saw you and that gal going down to the diner earlier. If I run prints in this apartment, am I going to find yours in there? Earl nodded. Well, yes, but not because I was the one that did any of this. She invited me in for a nightcap, and we had a little tea, did a little more talking, and then I left about 20 minutes ago. Anyone who can back that story up? Earl shrugged. Not unless you can speak with the dead in the graveyard. I went back there and barely got through the cemetery gates when she called me. Guthrie looked up from his pad and narrowed his eyes at the gravedigger. Okay, Weisenheimer, but don't leave town or anything all of a sudden. As it stands, you're the only suspect I've got, considering the only other person in there is dead. Earl felt his blood run cold. Dead? Somebody killed Candace? Earl craned his neck to look around Sheriff Guthrie, but the person he saw in the bathroom was not the woman he had left almost half an hour ago. What he saw was a nondescript man in his mid-30s, dressed in a black coat and sprawled out on the bathroom floor like someone had been munching on him. His rib cage was on full display, and his head was cocked back in the most god-awful look of terror. Earl took all this in with clinical detachment. He'd seen dead people plenty of times, and Sergeant Guthrie closed the door as he gave Earl a very hard look. We don't know who he is, and don't you go spreading this around. The best thing you could do would be to go back to your graveyard and let us handle this. We don't know what's going on, but we suspect it's an animal attack. Damn thing broke out the window in the bathroom on the way out, so it looks like we're in for a miserable night of trudging through the woods. As he put his notepad away, Sheriff Guthrie seemed to realize that he'd said a little bit more than he meant to say, because he cleared his throat and told Earl to go ahead and get out of here. Earl left the apartment complex, but he didn't go home. Animal attack, huh? Earl doubted it was an animal they could, or would want, to track through the woods. He suspected that Candace might not be like the werewolves you saw on TV. Maybe she could change into a wolf at will, and this beast that had burst out the window was her. He glanced up at the broken bathroom window, and then down to the street where the broken glass lay. Earl had never been much of a tracker, but a blind man could have followed that trail into the woods. The thing had left huge bloody footprints across the pavement, and the grass near the edge of the forest was trampled down, with plenty of broken twigs to guide the way. Earl stopped at the edge of the woods, not entirely sure he wanted to go inside. He knew the woods were dangerous. Everyone knew the woods were dangerous, but he didn't see as he had much of a choice. He needed to find her, needed to make sure she was okay, but God, he did not want to go in there. Even so, he took the flashlight out of his overall pocket and headed into the woods, a place he had swore he'd never go into outside of a sunny summer day. Gramps, how far into the woods are we going? The woods were unnaturally quiet as they proceeded through them. These were not the woods that Marcus was used to traveling through. Grandpa had told him to drive and that he would direct them, and they had left the truck by the side of the road as they proceeded into the woods that sat around Stragview Prison. The Appalachian woods behind his house were often noisy. The sounds of night bugs and animals were loud after the sun went down. These woods sounded as if the animals that lived here were afraid to make too much noise. Deeper in the woods, he could hear the sounds of breaking branches and cracking twigs, but he and Grandpa were the only two creatures making noise in this particular bit of woodland.
Just a bit further. I know we're getting close. I can feel it.
What exactly is it that you can feel, Gramps? Grandpa stopped in the path, looking through the trees as if lost before trudging on.
I don't rightly know. It's like the pull of a super powerful magnet or something.
Marcus tried to wrap his head around it, but it just didn't make a lot of sense. The old man was getting away, though, so he scrambled to keep up. God forbid that Grandpa got gobbled up by some big hairy boogin out here. Marcus felt a little like Luke as he tried to follow Yoda through the swamp, and he tried to follow the rustling bushes that lay ahead of him. Something had to be out there. It was too quiet for something not to be. Marcus could just imagine it hunkered out there, watching them, licking its chops as it waited for them to trip or get separated.
Keep up, son. We're almost there.
Marcus looked up and realized that his fears had come true. Grandpa was a little more than a quivering of bushes in the woods ahead of him, his cough moving through the woods at a fast creep. "Gramps!" Marcus yelled, looking around furtively. He could feel his heart racing as he turned his head from side to side. He couldn't have said why this place put him on edge. He'd faced fey spirits, old monsters, and all sorts of things, but there was something at play here that made him feel like his skin might crawl right off his body. Suddenly, every snap of a twig or brush of a branch became something stalking him. The woods were so quiet that these noises sounded like screams to his sound-deprived ears, and Marcus strained for the slightest sound from his grandfather. As something growled deep in its chest, Marcus turned and came face to face with a horror. It was something he had never seen before, which was saying something, because Marcus was quite sure he had seen most of the animals that called the Appalachian countryside home. This thing was an eyeless creature, gleaming black, that seemed to be all dripping teeth and raking claws. Marcus took a step back, thinking he was being stalked by a xenomorph for a frantic second. The creature was sniffing and listening, its head swinging about as he stood stock still. And Marcus realized it couldn't see. It was trying to pinpoint him, wanting to bury him under its initial pounce. He hissed out some quasi-Latin, and as the thing's head whipped in his direction, it went flying, a stream of energy hitting it square in the chest. It struck a tree and slid down, but the impact didn't hinder it at all. It bounced back up, shaking its head and roaring as it ran at him, its double row of teeth on display.
"Shit!"
Marcus yelled, and he flinched as it hit his shield and pushed him back a few steps. The thing was tough, too tough to be this close to town. and as it snapped and shoved at him, Marcus felt his feet slide back a little more. He tried to push it away again, but it dug its claws in and snarled as the force rolled off its smooth shell. Marcus was breathing heavily, trying to gain some ground on it, but he couldn't maintain the shield and shove this thing away. The second he dropped that shield, it was going to rip him to pieces, and he drew up power as he prepared to throw everything he had at it before running in the opposite direction. When an arc of lightning took it in the side, it fell over, twitching and trying to breathe as Marcus peeked around his shield.
"Come on, son, keep up,"
Grandpa yelled, the end of his staff still smoking a little.
"I want to get there before midnight."
Then he stumped off into the woods again, with Marcus right behind him. It seemed that Grandpa was as full of surprises as ever.
Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's show. If you think you might like a little more spooky in your life, then please feel free to click on one of the videos we have up here. Maybe look at one of the playlists if you're trying to get caught up. I know, there's so many videos on the channel. There's so many series that are going at the same time. Sometimes you just need a little refresher course, and I gotta say, I always enjoy the views. If you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit the bell so you don't miss anything. We upload a lot on this channel, so you won't want to miss a single story as they come out. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click on the Amazon link down there. There's quite a few books in my Amazon account. You can have a look, and if you'd like a signed copy, get up with me through email, and I'll be happy to work something out with you. Also, there's links to my Patreon, and you can become a member on the channel if you'd like your spooky a little bit early. Patrons and members on the $5 tier get their videos 12 hours early. That's in the morning as opposed to in the evening. Patrons at the $10 level also get a signed copy of my book anytime I write one. Speaking of my patrons, you should see them appearing right now. Just wanted to take a minute to say how much I appreciate all of you. Patrons, subscribers, however you give to the channel. I really appreciate everything you do, and it truly touches me that you have chosen to support the channel in this way. Well, that's enough for now. Till next time, Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.